We continue now our discussion with Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. So let's talk about a few things that are in the news. With the Trump administration, a day seems like a month, and it's been 7 days since we're taping this when the strike on Syria. Did you agree with the idea of striking Syria, and do you believe the U.S. has a coherent policy when it comes to moving forward on Syria?
No. Before I say that, that's a serious topic. Let me just apologize to Miami Beach Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez. I did not mean to drop her out, but she's got a lawsuit about the resign to run, and she's a great commissioner. I've spoken to her before, so much success to you as well. On Syria, we need a strategy. We need a plan. What is it that we're trying to do there, Jim? Are we saying that Assad should go? No. Now we're willing to accept that Assad will stay. Are we going to fight the Russians and the Iranians so that they get out of Syria? Apparently, we've acquiesced that Iran has a foothold there and that Russia has a foothold there, and that we're okay with that. We're not okay. The only thing we're not okay is, Assad, you can't use chemical weapons to kill your people. Or you're going to kill your people with conventional weapons? Go right ahead. Apparently we're fine with that. That is a terrible policy.
What do you think the policy should be?
I think it may have moved too far to now be engaged because the president has made too many statements and we just don't have a plan. But we need first a plan. What does the administration want to do? What I would like to see is to have us be engaged, have him come to Congress, have a vote to authorize the use of force. I think that the votes could be there if we have a strategy, if we have a plan, and then say, we don't want, if we say never again, what is happening in Syria is not acceptable. And we can't say we don't have national interest there. Remember, we have U.S. troops there already. So we need to get Russia out of there. We need to get Iran out of there. If they see that we have a serious military operation underway, they will decide on their own to get out, because there's nothing mightier than the U.S. military.
All right, let's turn
to Congress. Let's have a debate. Let's have a vote.
Let's turn to Cuba. We saw now for the first time the president of the country, whatever you want to call his title, is not a Castro for the first time in some 60 years. Does it mean anything?
It doesn't. I wish that it did. Castro is still the puppet master, whether it's Fidel in hell or whether it's Raul Castro from the sidelines. That's very much part of the main stage of the sideline, because as long as Raul Castro is the head of the Communist Party, he is the one calling the shots. And we've seen that play out in Russia. We've seen it play out in the old Soviet Union, and in every communist dictatorship, it's whoever's the head of the Communist Party, and definitely personality-driven the autocracy in Cuba. So we have this useful idiot, tonto útil, who's in charge now, but he has even said, I owe it all to Fidel. I owe it all to Raul. They've got my loyalty. I will do as they say. He's a loyal soldier. And look what happened with Maduro in Venezuela. It was Chavez and now Maduro. And Cuba and Venezuela, sadly, have a symbiotic relationship. Terrible.
Let's talk about the Mueller probe right now.
Yes.
Would you be in favor? I don't think it's going to make the floor. I don't even think it's going to make the Senate floor, let alone the House floor. Would you be in favor of taking a vote to give Mueller some protection to make sure that he can't be fired?
Absolutely. And I'm a co-sponsor of that bill. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill to legally protect Mueller from being fired by the president. I think that he needs the freedom, the liberty to carry on this investigation. And I think as Americans, we want to know the truth, and Mueller should be allowed to take the investigation to its end. We don't know where it's going to lead to, but our Intelligence Committee is only part of a little fragment of that.
Were you disappointed with the way
it's Mueller who's really the one who's in charge.
Were you disappointed with the way the House Intelligence Committee handled this?
Very much, because when I first got to the Intelligence Committee, and I haven't been on there very long, it was a bipartisan, it was a nonpartisan committee, which is as it should be. Now it's the Democrats issue a report, the Republicans issue a report. That's not the way that we should handle our intelligence oversight operations. We have a grave responsibility. We've mishandled it. So I hope that once this all blows away, that in the time we have left, we can get back to looking at the real threats that surround us. North Korea, Syria, Russia, but one thing that we should never lose sight of is Russia meddled in our elections. There's no doubt about it. They wanted to infiltrate our voting systems. There's no doubt about it. And we need to take precautions to make sure that they or any other nefarious actor does not do it again. We can't take our eye off that, whether there was collusion, whether there was coordination. All of that may be interesting to talk about, but we need the sanctity of our electoral process. Midterm elections are around the bend. How safer are we now than we were before? I know of little protections that have taken place.
Who do you believe, Donald Trump or James Comey?
I think that both of them have credibility issues. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I did not vote for him. I don't support him. I don't support many of his policies, not because of his personality. His policies I don't agree with. I think he's done a good job on Cuba. He's done a good job on Venezuela. James Comey has been before our committee many times. We know he's got a book out, and he's out there selling it. These memos, I think that it's just the narrative that we've already seen. I don't know that there are any bombshells. He talks about them in his book, so there are no big surprises. I think both of them have credibility issues. Democrats are mad at Comey because they think he derailed the Clinton presidency. Republicans are mad at Comey because they think he's investigating. He did a lot of damage to President Trump. He's in no man's land.
So in the time we have remaining, let's talk about Barbara Bush, former First Lady who passed away. You knew her.
I did, and I had the great honor of working with her in putting together a literacy event at Broward County, one of our local colleges, and I just couldn't believe it. I had just been recently elected, and wow, I get to work with the First Lady. She was gracious, she was kind, she was compassionate, but a no-nonsense. They called her the enforcer in her family. And of course, here in South Florida, we're so close to the Bush family because Jeb, our guy down here, I've been a Jeb supporter forever, and what a big loss for the country. 73 years they were married. It's a presidential first to have been married for so long. She said, I married the first boy I kissed at 16. He was 17, and one of the best stories is when she was a commencement speaker at Wellesley, a liberal women's college at the time, and the lady student said, no, why should we honor someone who's famous for the person she married? But she won them over with her grace. She really brought that audience with her, and she got a standing ovation at the end.
I think the line she used was, maybe someday out there's somebody who's a spouse who could be a great first husband or something like that.
And I wish him well.
And I wish him well. That's exactly. Ileana, thank you very much for coming in. Always a pleasure.
Jimbo.
This isn't the last time you're coming in.
No, I hope not.
Plenty more times. Appreciate it. All right, up next, one of the candidates hoping to replace Ros-Lehtinen in Congress, Republican Angie Chirino, when we come back.